All right. Well, hey, welcome everybody to another Tech Tip Tuesday. Here we are, April 18th, 2023. My name is Ken Close. I'm a Healy World member here in the USA, and I am joined by my awesome co-host, Jake Barron, Head of Operations USA. Hey, Jake.
Hello, Ken. Hello, everybody.
How you doing? Good to see you. Man, we both had a little technical issues, so sorry we're a couple minutes late, but here we are getting ready to solve your technical issues.
Yeah.
So you guys, hey, welcome to Tech Tip Tuesday, by the way. For those of you who have just first time ever, I'm glad you're here. If you've been here before, you know the drill, but let me tell you a little bit about how it works. This is a chat-based forum where you bring your Healy questions, your concerns, your need for understanding theory, and we will do our best to unpack those. We've got a customer service. Who's our customer service in chat?
Yeah, so we have Dongni from our tech support team helping out in the chat. So thank you, Dongni, for being on the call. You can find her under Healy Technical Support in the chat. So
yeah, we have a live agent right there for you guys in the background. So welcome to that. What we can't do is that we don't talk about disorders, disease. We can't diagnose, prevent, or treat anything on this call. We can talk about all kinds of things Healy technical with the apps, with the hardware, with whatever, and we can solve your mystery. So if that's something you want to discover, then that's why we're here. How about we get this party started?
that sounds amazing.
Are you ready? All right, let's do it. Okay, so what do we got so far already?
Well, I don't know if you were joined, but the first question I have in the chat here is, it's an interesting question, so thank you. This says, are there any plans for Healy to make skin patches that are charged with programs? So I mean, it's an interesting idea. You know, I could see how that could be useful, beneficial. But you know, as a future product lineup, you know, that's probably not something that's, you know, on the list of things. There is a lot of future products already planned, and they're amazing. And if I could tell you right now what they were, your head would explode just from what's going to be coming in the future. But I don't think that's one of them. But that's an interesting. I'm just trying to think, Ken, how that would actually work if you were to do something like that.
Well, if we look at the Healy technology in itself, so it's a dynamic system. In other words, the app itself is constantly interfacing with the hardware, and the hardware is constantly shifting and changing its output. So this is dynamic. Now, a patch or some tangible object like that, whether it be a patch or some device or some other piece of substance, is like magnets, for instance, is a good example. They're fixed, right? They're fixed in their frequency. They're fixed in their output. And so they have benefit, but to a limited degree. So Healy's not limited. This is the cool thing. We're now, I mean, I remember when we started, we were about 220 programs. Now we're over 300 programs, right? And the limit is endless. So our parent company is TimeWaver, and TimeWaver, oh my gosh, guys, the database, the content that TimeWaver has is immense, and we haven't even seen the tip of the iceberg yet. So when it comes to a patch or something like that, you know, we're still looking at a fixed versus dynamic. I like the idea. I mean, there's lots of great stuff out there already. But another thought is that we can charge things with Healy, by the way. We have the ability to charge substances. We have the ability to infuse information energy into things with the Healy. And you know, there's people who are doing that. And just by simply running a program, by the way, folks, if you run, whether it be from the Advisor app or from the Healy microcurrent app, when you run those programs, the Healy output, the transmitter output, the noise generator sends frequencies into the field, right? So you can actually charge things with the Healy. And because it's not only going to you, yeah, it's going to you, but you could do it to things as well. Anyway, that's another story. All right. Great question. I love it though.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. The first one I see here is, can you charge the battery before it goes dead, or does that shorten the time and the battery will hold a charge? So you can do it periodically. I wouldn't recommend doing it every time. It's a good idea to fully work that charge cycle. In other words, charge it all the way up, use it all the way down. And I know it's like, well, yeah, but I need it at a certain time. And it's always, I've used it up by then. You get to know your Healy and how long it lasts. And you get to know things as time goes by as to how to use it up, and then charge it during an off time. Or here's what I do. I've got several Healys. I have more than one. I keep one charged as a backup all the time. I literally, when I travel, I carry 2 and quite often 3 Healys with me. So there you go.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a again, great question, because you of course want your battery to be remain as optimally efficient and healthy as possible. But yeah, there are times where you're going to be gone all day and you want it to be fully charged. So okay, yeah, occasionally, sure.
Yeah, it's not going to hurt it when it's occasionally. When I say occasionally,
yeah,
a couple times a week, right? But if you're occasionally means, every other day, that's a little bit too often. I would say occasionally 20% is the 80-20 rule. You've heard of that? Yeah. Stay with that. That means occasionally. Okay. Let's see. So Gordon says the Skin app has a new app, Skin Energy. When will it be in the blue dot?
Yeah, so I mean that happens occasionally. There's the databases and the Analyse app. Sometimes we might make an update to the programs or the program names within the Healy 2 app, so the app where you use the microcurrents within that beauty or skin program group. But it doesn't mean that it's instantaneously going to be updated in the Analyse app. It's a different process. It's a different app. So usually over time they do sync up. It's just it's not an instantaneous thing. And also with the new Analyse 2 app coming out here in the not too distant future, it could be that it maybe it's updated as part of that release, something like that.
Yeah, I see that too. There's a bit of a delay sometimes between between when it launches in the pink and versus when it's in the other. And again, one of the sequences of updates is make sure that your pink app is updated. If you see an update pop into the screen in your app, be sure to go ahead and download that and update that, because that's kind of that's going to be the precursor to where when the update does come to the blue app, then you're able to synchronize. So I found that sequence, keeping the pink app up to date, helps to, when a blue app update comes, helps it to, to manifest, or not manifest, but actually it helps it to synchronize between the two. Used to be like that was kind of the standard procedure. It's changing with these new apps. I like the new platform. So if you guys are using if you're part of the beta test with the advisor app, man, it's some cool stuff. Yeah. Okay. What else we got? There's a question about maintaining the flow of the current. All right, let's see. Is it to be expected to have to adjust the percentage throughout the program when using the wristbands? I find it, if I move the wristbands the wrong way, the current may stop. And of course, then the hertz, the drops, then let's see, I have to pump up to 100%. Okay. Let me just kind of go through. Oh, did I lose you, Jake?
No, I'm here. I'm here.
Okay. Lost your camera.
Yeah.
Okay. So when it comes to the microcurrent flow in the body, a couple of things. First, let's talk about us first, ourselves, and making sure our body is properly hydrated. We have a good electrolytes, because electrolytes are also part of this flow, right? The minerals within our body help propagate energy flow. And so electrolytes as well as hydration, a good level of hydration to bank on is drinking half of your body weight in ounces of water every day. Half of your body weight in ounces of water every day. That kind of gives a baseline for a good amount of water in your body, but then also making sure that your electrolytes are up. If you don't know what they are, look them up. Okay. There's things you can add to your water, or your diet is also another way to get your electrolytes. Okay. So then secondly is the connection between the wristband and the skin. All right. Some people have smaller wrists. And so the smaller your wrist, the less surface area contact you're going to have between the wristband and the skin. Some people have hairy arms. Sometimes you're applying lotions or moisturizers or things like that. All of this has influence on the conductivity between the wristband and your body. So some things to do there, of course, hydrate. I moisten my wristband. I just run it under water. Actually, I run my wrist under water. And then I place my wristband on and I adjust it to where it's not super tight. I put my hand through. I will pull it tight. If you make a fist and bend the wrist and then strap it down, when you relax that, it's got enough tension on it, but it's not too tight. Okay. So you make a fist and bend your wrist and then put the strap on, and that kind of makes it a little bit bigger around your wrist. And then when you strap it down, it's not too tight, but it does need to be tight enough that it's making good contact with the skin. Okay. So if you're wearing moisturizers, lotions, and potions, wash it off. A lot of that stuff is an insulator. In other words, insulators mean that there is no current flow between them. All right. So secondly, if you've got smaller wrists, you may need to move it up further on your arm to a larger diameter area. Moisturize the area with water, or you can also use some conductive gel that's available online. Some of even your local drugstores will probably have it. So that's another option. Okay, then we start talking about the percentage of intensity on your device, because all the other things need to be adjusted first, or addressed first, and then you start adjusting the intensity on your device. Because if all those other things are met, then you can keep the intensity down as low as you want, without having to force the issue of going through moisturizers or dehydrated body or lack of moisturization between the band and the skin. The next piece of the actual device and the frequencies is, the lower the frequencies, typically below 500 hertz, 400 hertz or lower, somewhere in there, means the closer to density, the body density, and meaning that you're probably going to have the intensity up a little higher. And so you'll notice that the frequencies that are actually being transmitted, when you're just on the threshold of conductivity between that intensity, in other words, flow in the body, if you're just on the threshold and the frequencies that the program is applying dip down below, say, 500 hertz, you may see that the conductivity shuts off, right? So you're constantly increasing the intensity. I like to find a frequency that's low, that is giving me a signal that it's not being transmitted through my body. And that's a message on the screen, by the way. And then adjust my intensity to that frequency. And then I know that the rest of them are going to be fine, because the higher frequencies are not going to need as much power. And yet it's not going to be just uncomfortable, because it's the lower frequencies that tend to have the most sensation within the body, the tingling or whatever. So adjust it to where you're getting good conductivity there. If you're feeling the tingling and it's uncomfortable, then you're going to need to reduce that intensity so that you're not signaling this stress response in your body. So it's a play time. It's a fine line to just get to know your device, get to know your body, go through all the things that are necessary to make the mechanical connections and the hydration modalities in your body proper, and then adjust those intensities. Okay. All right. You got anything there, Jake? I think.
Let's see. So this is a good question. It's come up a lot recently because there's been a lot of focus on the natural cycle. It says, if you miss the day for natural cycle and you don't remember the last time slot you ran, how can you figure out where to start again? Is there a date chart to follow? So there is, on the natural cycle brochure in Backoffice, it shows the whole clock in the 2-hour increments across there as well. So that's a good reference. That same chart is shown in the natural cycle training video that is available. But Ken, actually, have you, I have not actually tried it yet. I remember the last call, someone had mentioned there's a workaround to manually reset the time on your phone to an earlier time. Do you know, have you actually tried that, or does it work?
Well, no, because your phone, if you
Because I know on the iPhone you can change it to turn off setting it automatically, and you can manually pick something. But I've actually never personally tried it, so I don't know if there was any real world experience there from trying to do that in order to get back to the start.
Yeah, there's, if you have a phone that has no service and you take it off the Wi-Fi, you can set the time, that kind of stuff there. But if you have a phone that is connected to some mobile service, it's going to download the time based on the tower that it connects to. So it's like, yeah, it's going to stay with the current time.
Yeah.
Great suggestions though. I mean, because I know that you know, product development is going to be looking at that.
This is something that the app developers, it has been reported, it is something that they want to include in a future update to the natural cycle. We just don't have any time frame as far as, you know, when that might possibly be later this year. But again, there is that chart which shows which program or which organ meridian is active in each of the 2-hour clock increments. That is part of that natural cycle brochure available in Backoffice in the download section. So let me see if I can pull that up while we're on this call.
Yeah. Okay. So let's see. Another question. Deep Cycle has apps that should be performed in order. Where do you go to understand each app and how many times each should be ran before going to the next app? Well, I'm assuming you're talking about the programs that the Deep Cycle has programs or within it, and they have different labels. So there is a sequence in the original Deep Cycle as far as how to, 1, 2, 3. I had a document somewhere that was pretty good about describing Deep Cycle content. But the owner's manual, I haven't looked at it, what it looks like today, but what does that owner's manual have in it?
Yeah, I'm trying to see here. I forget if I'm confusing it with a different program that had details on that as far as which. The
bioenergetic vitalization page has, has a bioenergetic, or I should say regeneration 1, 2, and 3, which is kind of a sequential system, you to run in that order, 1, 2, and 3. And then the Deep Cycle had a 1, 2, and 3. It was a sequence to get the body prepared for microcurrent, right? It's kind of like training the body to get through this microcurrent. So let me see if I can pull that up on mine.
Okay.
Let's see. We'll see what we can pull up here while we're chatting.
Yeah.
All right, what else? And Healy is, so by the way, going back to the question earlier about the different name between the pink app and the blue app, Healy is working on adjusting names so they're globally understood, in terms of trying to make sure that if there's sequencing, that it looks obvious, I guess, a little more intuitive.
Yeah. There's a good question here. Dong-Mi, thank you for answering this in the chat already. But it was, again, another battery question. This one related to the MagHealy, instead of the Healy devices. How far down can you let the charge go on the MagHealy? Should we wait for the app to say that it's time to charge? So that's essentially similar advice to what Ken mentioned earlier for the Healy device. You know, it's best to let it run down, go through that full charging cycle. But if, for example, you know, occasionally, you know, less than 20% of the time, you want to have it fully charged. Maybe you're taking it with you somewhere and don't have access to a charger. Okay, yeah, you know, go ahead and fully charge that as well. But, you know, if you can, let it go all the way down, fully discharge, and then fully charge it again as well. And Dong-Mi put some of those details into the chat, so thank you on that.
Yeah, the side effect of a short discharge and charge cycle, in other words, you're not letting it fully discharge. The side effect of that is a misalignment between what the app says your battery life is and what the actual battery life is on the hardware, the Healy hardware. And there's a question in here too. Another one I saw says, is there an easy way to find out the battery condition, like on your phone? Yeah, the app itself shows you, the pink app shows you all the time, essentially at the top, the battery life. And in the new version, the Healy 2 app, this one here, if you tap on that little icon at the top of the page, it actually gives you a percentage instead of just like the green fill mark of the battery itself. If you tap on the icon, it's an actual activation icon, and it'll show you the battery percentage up there. Okay, and that's also, by the way, where you would turn off or on the Bluetooth if you've got the hardware version 229. So that's there. Let's see what else. Let's see. Okay, this is kind of a great question. I might have skipped something, but I'll come back to it. Is there a frequency difference between using the wristbands versus the sticky pads? Now, if you're talking about how often you can run a program or how many programs per day, whether you're applying it with the wristbands or the sticky pads, there's no difference there. The body's still receiving microcurrent, and the effectiveness on the cell structures, systems, and organs are the same. The sticky pads versus the wristbands. Of course, the sticky pads now, depending on where you've placed them on the body, that's going to be the entry point and the exit point for the microcurrent. So there could be some shifts there. But if you're talking about the actual frequencies being applied themselves, no, there's no difference. The microcurrent is the carrier for the frequencies. So as long as there's conduction through the body, then that microcurrent is carrying, like carrying it in a pail, the frequencies through the body. And it's the frequencies that are communicating and addressing certain systems, organs, and cells, and either increasing or decreasing certain aspects. So in other words, a frequency that is what's called coherent with a cell, right, to make it healthier, kind of charges it up. And a frequency that's incoherent with a disorder, right, some problem, will dim it down. In other words, get rid of it or eliminate it. Okay, so that's kind of how it works. You can have frequencies sending into the body that are improving or propagating health, others that are decreasing and removing unhealthy. So it's a twofer. All right. So that was it. I think I might have skipped something. There's another one. Let's see. Is the contact spot on the band all around or is it near the snap? It is the entire undersurface of the band. It's the Healy uses a medical grade silicone. It's the shiny smooth side. Of course, not the Velcro part, the end of the tab, but the shiny smooth part. That is the entire part of it is the conductive strip. There's no part that's better or worse than the other. It's all consistently the same. And that's the opposite side of the snap. The snap is over here. To be honest, the little strip that the snap is attached to on the other side is also conductive. Okay, so it's that entire smooth material that's wrapped around the buckle, and it's got the snap goes through it, wrapped around the buckle, and comes around the backside. All of that is conductive. And we've had on our Tech Tip Tuesday before, we've also had a little demonstration of how to test conductivity of the hardware by taking the wristbands, fully connected to the Healy, touching them together, and then looking at the conductive indicator on the app for testing the system. But anyway, that's a different story on a different show. It's available to you on our recordings on the YouTube page. Okay. So yes, it's all the same conductivity.
Hey, Ken, while we're going on to the next question, just wanted to point out that we mentioned about the natural cycle, the chart that's available in Backoffice. Just want to share that while we're here. Just so if you go to your download section in Backoffice and then go to the flyers, there's a flyer called natural cycle, and you'll see here in a second. So this is what that flyer looks like. And then on page 2, this is, I think, the chart that you're probably looking for. You can kind of see here, it has, every 2 hours, heart, small intestine, bladder, kidney, and tells you a little bit of the details there. So you can always go back and reference this part here too. So
good stuff. We got lots of cool stuff in the Backoffice there under downloads, you guys. I highly encourage everybody that I talk to on my team or talk to about problems or issues is to go to the Backoffice daily and spend at least an hour there looking at these downloads. That's Healy school for you. Okay, Gordon has a question here about, I know you can get replacement for a broken clasp. In other words, just the little plastic piece maybe you're talking about. But he says that the last presentation, I believe Ken had a different unit holder and looked like it was a better holder or clasp. So yeah, the newer style of cabinet, the newer style Healy, and in other words, if you get a warranty replacement, you're going to get the new style. But I have one that has the plastic clip on the back. It's made of plastic. It's held on with a pin at the top, and sometimes those break, right? Because they're plastic. The new style system, now this one here, it is not really a fair example because you can see it really well. It's a gold clip, but the others come with white, but it's a metal clip, and I've got my coil on there right now. But you see the clip on the back is made of metal. It's pretty springy. It's pretty tough. So that's the new upgraded cabinet. Looks like that. So, but yes, you can get replacement plastic pieces if you break them. The cabinet of the Healy, the casing has been damaged where the pin goes in, and you can't replace the pin, then you got to replace the entire hardware, right? And you'll get the new type with the metal clip on the back. Okay. I do have, there's other ways of connecting them on your body. I've got some custom casings. I tell you what, if you've got a 3D printer and you're pretty creative, you can make all kinds of cool stuff. Okay. For the old resonance model, do we have to reinstall the newer app? Okay, so no matter which Healy you have, no matter what Healy you have, an old grandfathered in or a brand new current version, they're still all operated from the app. And the new Healy app, this guy right here, the Healy 2 app, is the one that is replacing the old app. And there's good reason for that. Is because the old app, the platform it was made on, has reached its max. It's reached its limit, I guess you might say. And so it's time that we move over to the new Healy 2 app and use that. There's some differences, but if you just get used to it, you'll love it. You'll love it. But yes, move over to the new Healy 2 app, this one right here above me, and it will run any Healy, and any MagHealy. Okay. Let's see.
This question here says, if we don't have a MagHealy, but use the programs in the Analyse app, how do those programs perform differently using that app versus from the MagHealy, using it in the Healy 2 app? So really the same differences versus running a program with microcurrent in the Healy 2 app versus vibrating those same programs in the Analyse app. When you're using the programs, when you're actually using a MagHealy in the Healy 2 app, you have the benefit of that pulsating magnetic field versus in the Analyse app, you're essentially just vibrating those frequencies into the information field. So that it's kind of the same difference, just like you can do one or the other. It's using different methods, but you are able to vibrate those programs even if you don't have or own the MagHealy. But the benefits and everything it's completely different methods.
Yeah. Okay. When will subscriptions begin for the MagHealy? Good question.
So it's still to be determined, it's the exact date will, probably be released, or we'll start talking about it more later into next month. The second half of next month, we'll probably talk more about when that actual release date might be. So can't really give you an exact date right now, but we're still finalizing all those details, and we'll certainly share it as soon as we can.
Awesome. Okay. Let's see here. Deep Cycle has a 4321 protocol proposed by its creator. There it is. Thanks for sharing. Okay. It's in the chat. By the way, folks, if you want to save the chat, if you're on your computer, down there where you're typing in your chat information, that's below that, there's 3 little dots. Tap on those. It'll pop up a little more, and it'll show you how to, you'll say save chat. At the end of our call, there'll be an icon that pops up on your screen that says save chat, and you can save it to your computer. So then you'll have all this awesome stuff. Okay. All right. Let's see. I have a question about the Blue app. In my understanding, the percentage may vary 100 to 100%. However, my sleep and job programs were showing in 50 million %. My energy for those days was really not very good. Okay. I have 2 Healys. So what I did for 3 or 4 days, I ran my resonance program and used the pink app with bracelets. And yesterday, my percentage has come down to 20 to 50% again. Any idea of that high percentage? So, okay, when you're talking about percentages, sometimes the microcurrent app, right, also does these weird high percentages. But in the Blue app, when you're looking at percentages around, you do an analysis, a scan, and you have these percentages of relevance. You know, it's supposed to be up to 100%. Sometimes I've seen this with it's 200% or whatever, or something above 100. That's technically, that's a glitch. Technically, we work in the information field. And as you see, as you experienced here, that after you did some other work, it came back down. But 100% is the max. And so if you're getting something other than that, you can reset, restart everything, turn your smart device off, hard close the apps, turn all that back on, and redo your scan and see if that realigns the percentage of the necessity. Typically, we're only going to see that we need it 100%. The information field doesn't work quite with the same theories that that we do. Quantum physics doesn't work like what we see. And so, yeah, I don't want to officially say that, hey, this could be something that you really, 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 really need, or it could be a glitch. I say, and whenever somebody's personally asking me this question and I'm coaching one of my teammates and they say, hey, I just saw 2000%. I'm like, you really, 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 really need it. So go ahead and run what it's requiring, what it's asking you to do in terms of the sequence, and reassess. Okay.
This question from Linda. It says, using the Analyse app, why does the generator icon go off when the program is still running and the Bluetooth is still running? It appears to be working, but is not likely. Is it not generating? I don't know what the generator icon, maybe it's referring to the graph, the sort of the wave. When you're vibrating the programs, it kind of shows that visual there. But as far as why that would go off, this could be something where it lost connection, or again, the Analyse app has to be on the main part. That's the main part of the program. It can't be running in the background. Once you switch it to the background, it stops vibrating and you have to start it again. So maybe you got a phone call that came in or a text message and you switched over real quick and came back and it stopped, because that in the current Analyse app, that is how it's designed to be. It can't run in the background. The new one, which we did a sort of a sneak peek on a couple of weeks ago, that one you can actually run it in the background. It won't stop vibrating if you have to do something else on your phone or a smart device. But it's likely that something somehow got interrupted while you were vibrating the program. I would think that's probably the most likely answer there.
The other consideration is that if you're talking about the generator icon, in other words, on the Healy hardware itself, the green light when you're running a blue dot app or program in vibrate mode, it takes content from the app, feeds it to the Healy, and then back and forth. The Healy gives feedback back and forth. Now, the sequence becomes rhythmic. In other words, the content that's being sent by the blue app becomes rhythmic, and you'll see it. You can see it, whatever sequence you're running, you see the app flowing through the content, and you'll see every now and then, if you're talking about the generator icon being the green light on the Healy, at first, when it gets started with your program you just chose, the green light's flashing pretty rhythmically. And the material, the information's cycling through. After a little while of running it, now let's say you're running this for an hour or 2 or 3 or whatever, you're going to see the green light is coming on less often. In fact, it may not come on very often at all. But there's still a transmission between the Healy hardware and the app still going on. It's just so rhythmic that it doesn't need to update very often. So what the green light means, folks, on the Healy, When it's flashing, that means there's content or interface back and forth between the app and the Healy, or simply indicating that the power is on. That's another one. But you also notice the green light flashes much quicker when you're sending a program from the pink dot to the Healy. You'll see it flashing really quick. That's data transfer. So the green light is telling you that there's information being cycled back and forth between the app. And you'll see if you don't run a program, or a program is over in the pink app, then the only thing that flashes is the blue light, meaning that it's still connected to the app, but there's no data transfer. In the blue dot, it may do the same thing, but you'll see the flash every now and then. Keep an eye on it. You'll watch the green light will flash every now and then. That's just an update, making sure that the Healy is saying, hey, has anything changed within the blue dot app and that arithmetic sequence or not? And if the answer is no, then it just keeps running its same content. Okay. It works a little bit different between the two apps. It's if that's what you're talking about in terms of that, the generator light. If you're it's not actually called a generator light, it's just the power light or data transfer light, the green light and the blue light. Okay. Let's see. Dory's saying, why does the blue app cause my phone to shut down and stop the app? It shouldn't.
Yeah. It says, why does the new blue app, so the new Analyze app, Analyze 2 app, I have not heard, we've been beta testing the Analyze 2 app for a couple of months now, and I've actually not heard of that issue being reported by anybody else. So it seems like it could be a device specific issue to you. Maybe there's some sort of setting on your phone, maybe a memory issue, or I don't know what else would cause the actual phone to shut down just from running the app itself.
Yeah, if you're, and again, what is the definition of shutdown? Because sleep mode versus shutdown, I mean, from my engineering brain, is two different things. If your phone goes into dormant or sleep mode, in other words, the screen goes off, right? Like any other time, if you have your phone set to, the power saver or any of those things with the settings of the device, of the smart device, then whatever app is running is going to be pushed to the background and the screen's going to go off. That's going to be a different function with this new blue app than the old one. Because if you have it turned off, I mean, in other words, if you have your phone set to go into sleep mode or into screensaver mode at a certain time, it's going to do that. And then that phone looks like it's off, but it's not. You just tap the screen or touch the button or whatever. Now, here's another thing you might do. If it is something that's device specific, like Jake was saying, it might be a good idea to submit a ticket because it's still beta testing. So submit a ticket about what device you have, what model, what operating system you're running, and describe the issue so that it can be put into the data research. Okay. Oh, Renee says, thank you, Ken and Jake. You're welcome. You guys for the kind words. Is there any way to figure out what time slot to run the natural cycle if you don't remember what slot you ran last? If you've already said like you did something and you cleared it and moved to the next, I don't think there's a way to go back. I don't know.
No, again, this is something will certainly be improved, the user experience going forward within the natural cycle module itself. But until that sort of option to go back or catch up to where you left off, if you have to uninstall something like that and reinstall the app, really it's you really just have to be really careful once that cycle starts to not skip forward an extra session, something like that. But just I know it's easy to accidentally skip forward. It's just something until we have a way to kind of adjust that It's just one of the things that are the natural cycle module, the current functionality of it. That's how it works.
Mm-hmm. Well, all this feedback is definitely going to help.
Yep.
Okay, so here's the question. What does the different dosages mean in the aura and the coaching module? For example, the difference between LM versus LM, or LM1 versus LX, all that. There is a training in the academy that talks about this, which is for the coaching. We've talked about that before.
Yeah, we've talked about that a little bit. I'm trying to think which
episode was that?
Yeah.
It was one of the episodes we did talk about this, and actually, let's see, pulled up that particular episode in the academy. It's the coaching part. It's in the coaching part of the academy, and it really does go into some depth around what those percentages and intensities and the different dilutions are about. And this is another reason I'm always saying, hey, spend an hour or so in that back office, which is of course the academy, including those downloads. Those are great to look at.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that was also, there you go. Our tech support said it right there. It's in the coaching module. Interpretation of parameters is the name of it. Okay. Let's see. Back to those high percentages. Was I making the stuff? Well, seeing those high percentages in my body was acting totally drained. Yeah. Okay. So again, we're looking at, you're part of this equation, right? When you get an analysis and you feel something really, really low or really, really heavy, and all of a sudden the system is showing you these enormous readings, then yeah, there's a correlation there. I still personally like to run with the first thing that comes up. If it shows me I need it 2000%, okay, I'm going to run it. But then I'm going to do it again. And just that, because it still saves those bits of information in my lists, and I can go back to those, right? And continue the regiment that showed the very, very high percentages. And I can also go back to the one that's not. I mean, I am my own creator, and I can go in there and run what I want to run. But, I like to run something in its entirety all the way through, whether it's a high out of reason percentages or not. All right. Let's see. Here's a question that says, what is the range to go from you wearing the Healy and the cell phone? Need to be closer, or another room would work. So if you're talking about when you are running this Pink app, when you're running anything from the Pink app, you're connected to the device, or if you're running the coil, the design of the system is to have the device on your person, on your body, right? Now, when you load a program to the Healy hardware, like I was saying earlier, the green light flashes really quickly. The data is sent to the Healy, and then the phone of the job of your phone and your smart device is over. Essentially, once the program is loaded to the Healy within this Pink app, within the microcurrent system, then the job of your phone is over. And the phone is, or their smart device is just simply a monitoring, just watching what frequencies are being shown. You can adjust the intensity, and that's it. All right. You don't need it anymore. You can actually shut the device off, the smart device off, and the Healy will still run it in its entirety completely. It'll still do all that. Okay. So, point being that once everything's set, you don't need it. Now, the Blue app, kind of a different scenario. It's going to be running the app is going to be running the program. But you can still do other functions on the phone while you're running that program. The distance between the hardware of the Healy and the smart device, the distance between those two is very short. The Bluetooth signal is only 32-foot range. It's very short. It's called Bluetooth low energy. In other words, it doesn't have a long range to it. So you can't get that far apart between, if you still want the app to be connected to the Healy, you can't get the phone and the Healy that far apart, no more than 32 feet. And that's what's called line of sight. So if you're going through a wall, from one room to another, it's going to be even less. Okay. And the Bluetooth light flashing or not flashing is going to be your indicator. If it stops flashing, you'll see that you're too far away. Okay. All right. What else we got? I have a question.
So we had several people comment that the new Analyse 2 app they're having problems loading it now. Databases aren't loading. So keep in mind, it's under beta testing right now. This isn't a fully released app. So there could be situations, time like this, where there's updates being made. We have to load new databases. They're being changed. So it's not guaranteed that it's going to work 100% of the time. I know it's a big improvement. Everyone loves this new app, but we're still in beta testing for the next several weeks. So there are things like this could pop up where it gets slower, it gets faster, different changes are made as well. It's kind of a part of being part of the beta test group.
Yeah, no, not unlike any other beta testing scenario, right? Where we're the kind of the guinea pig, right? We get to have the cool stuff first, but also we have to when there is a glitch or an issue, report that and say, here's what's going on, so that feedback can help improve the function.
And I'm going back up a little bit here. Did we answer this question from Sharon about, she was asking if you're new to receiving microcurrent frequencies, so someone new to Healy, do you recommend starting with the Healy 2 app, kind of running those with microcurrent with individual programs, or running a series or vibrating a series of frequencies through the Analyse app? This is a great question for getting started. And, a lot of people do like to just focus at the beginning. A lot of people like to just focus on the gold cycle programs to start, kind of get used to everything. That's the core program group of Healy, the gold cycle there. But, also it is okay if you want to, you can start with just some of those gold cycle programs, but there's no harm in using the Analyse app and seeing which specific programs it's recommending for you, and then running those as well. So it's kind of, you can do it at your own pace. There's no necessarily right answer that's the same for everybody. But if you feel more comfortable just running, 1 or 2 programs a day in the Healy 2 app with microcurrent to start until you get more comfortable, and then sort of branching out to the Analyse app, you can do that. Or you can jump right into the Analyse app and see what it's recommending for you. Just, you don't want to, if it's recommending you pick a bunch of results, you don't want to run all those all at once in the Healy 2 app with microcurrent.
Yeah, there should be, if something you've never done before, no different than swimming. If you've never swam before, you don't dive in the deep end, do you? You take a little time to get acclimated to the water, maybe get understanding how your body operates within this body of water, wherever it is. Same thing with Healy. And all of the additions come with the gold cycle page, which is why, and there's a reason for that, because that's where you start. That is the beginning. Nina created, used the 144,000 gold cycle programs, or frequencies, I should say, to build that program base, because there is something in there for every body, every single body. There's 7 of them that you can do 1 a day for the whole week. So that gives you another acclimating period. And then the other part is to pay attention to your body, really pay attention to your body. So that's a great place to start. Every edition does not come with the the analytics of the Blue app, but every edition does come with the Gold Cycle. So start with where every edition comes from, and that is that Gold Cycle page. And then look at them intuitively, like what you think would work for you. I love the names, care and balance and energy and those kind of things. You can kind of think of, well, I could use a little care right now. I've had a hard day, right? So take that into account. Remember your self-care protocol. It should be broadcast it should be a little pamphlet in every Healy, I believe. It should say, what's your self-care protocol? Hydration, 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 right? Keeping that hydration up. But also there's some more pieces to that. And I go over it quite often within our calls here. But the hydration being number one, including the electrolytes, half your body weight in ounces of water per day. That's number one. Number two is movement, keeping the body moving, whether it's walking, yoga, stretching, dancing, whatever. That helps the lymphatic system to be engaged. Big, long movements with the muscle structures. That's important. Number three, grounding, finding some time to ground your body. And this is something that's very easy. You can go out there and barefoot in the grass, or if you don't have that opportunity, there's things grounding mats and pads and things you can do to try to ground the body. You want to try to discharge this energy created in the body. And then breathing, some good breathing techniques. I often recommend some big, deep breathing exercises every day. And of course, my last and favorite one I like to say is find a reason to fall in love with life. This brings the mind and the heart together so that the healing process can even take hold better. This is how our body heals. It heals not from the stress response, but it heals from the rest and repair response, which is our parasympathetic. Okay. All right, guys, we are at the end of our hour. And if you didn't save the chat yet, give yourself a moment to save that chat. Click on those three little dots down there, save the chat, and you can have the links, have all the answers and all the content that was put in there. Thank you very much for everybody. All your questions are awesome. Thank you. Tech support. Woo, rock on.
Yes. Thank you, Dongni.
Thank you so much. I'm watching all those lightning finger actions back there. And thank you, Jake. I appreciate your help. It's always a pleasure co-hosting and hosting. Yeah, this is great.
Always good to be here.
Well, join us tomorrow for the What's Up Wednesday. It's 10 a.m. Pacific and 1 o'clock in the East Coast. So join us tomorrow for an update there. Jake will be back. Adrian will be back, giving us all kinds of cool updates. So join us there and stay tuned for the next Tech Tip Tuesday next week. Anything else, Jake?
You covered it all. Thanks, Ken. Thanks, everyone.
All right, guys. Thank you all for being here. Have a great evening. Bye-bye.